morning.
Hey, everybody.
Hi.
Hello,
Hello,
hello.
friends. How's it going today?
It's going fabulously.
Yes. Hi, Steph.
Hi, Dr. Jonathan. How are you
Saint Steph and
doing?
Dr. Jay-Z in the house.
That's right, Dr. Jay-Z and the Saint. We are here to rant and to express a radically affirmative new thought about
Yes, we
whatever
are.
it is you want to talk about.
Yeah. Yeah. And let's start today by saying, hey,
Hey.
as you log on, as you watch, post a comment. Let us know what you want to hear about today. What do you want us to rant on today? We can rant on anything.
We can rant on anything.
We can apply radically affirmative new thought to anything.
That's right. Yeah. Let us know in the comments. Even just say hi. Let us know you're here watching.
Yeah. There's Wayne. Say John.
Hey, John.
Glorious day, Wayne.
Smudge that sage right on.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And if you're watching on Facebook, we love those likes, those loves. Click those share buttons. I know I just clicked on like 6 shares at least. So share. Well, let's get our rant on. If you're watching on YouTube, thumbs up for us. Let us know. Oh yeah.
I'm gonna do a little Palo Santo. I love Palo Santo. Can't believe I'm doing this on camera.
Sure.
Promise not to burn the building down.
I have done it. on camera.
Oh yeah.
Someone thought I was lighting a cigar.
I did this thing where I've got in a binder clip. I like suspend it in a binder clip.
Yes.
Palo Santo. I've got a little cuppy thing back there made out of metal, so it captures the ashes as it burns. Mm-hmm. It smells so good.
Yeah, contain those ashes, and something will rise up from them.
Indeed.
Like a phoenix that shall rise.
Yeah. So here we are. I feel like that's a weird, like we did a weird start today.
We did.
Like, oh, I'm going to burn some Palo Santo. And oh, hi, Sam.
Yes, yeah. And Wayne is saying, may the 4th chakra be with you.
Be with you, yes.
1, 2, 3, 4. Heart chakra.
Heart chakra. 4th, yes.
Yeah. Let that heart chakra open. Let us expand to a new idea and a new perspective on something. So definitely let us know you're watching. Let us know if you have something you want us to talk about. We don't have any preambles today, so we're just we've got ideas, of course, because when don't we have ideas, Jonathan?
Well, you know what the currency of divinity is?
Ideas?
Ideas.
Oh, yeah.
Think about that.
Yeah.
Ideas are the currency of divinity,
and
that currency is infinite.
Yeah. And so where we invest our currency magnifies, multiplies, grows, and expands, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I love it.
So how do we apply that to our lives? That's my question for you.
How do we
apply that to our lives? This is a nice idea, right?
that ideas are the currency?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
How do we make it practical? How do we apply it?
So you have to invest in the ideas. There are many ideas. Like we have so many thoughts, right? In a day, we have so many thoughts in a day. So where do you want your focus to be? Where do you want your energy to grow? What more good do you want in your life? Those are the ideas you want to land on and focus on.
Yeah.
How do we use, I just think this quote by Raymond Charles Barker, Dr. Ken Gordon always used, and he always put this voice on like he was talking like Raymond Charles Barker. Barker, you need a new idea. Right. And so if we're stuck,
I can see Ken doing that.
Yeah, for sure. And sometimes we get stuck in old ideas, thinking that we need to hold on to them, and old systems, even old patterns in our lives, like cultural, social, familiar. Like we have all of these ideas presented to us, but the things that really make us go, that attract us, or add that oomph behind the idea, is something that would be that divine call to move it forward. Right. And so whatever ideas we have that are that have that energetic currency behind them, like the current of energy, follow those, right? Joseph Murphy, follow your bliss. So if you've got an idea, sometimes don't let it slip past. If you've got an idea that sounds great to you, stew on it, sit in it, work it out. And don't let those ideas just fall to the wayside when they have a spark inside of you that leads you to passion. I know that I had 4 years before Avatar came out, I saw it in my mind, and if I would have written it down, and then Avatar came out, and I was like, "Oh
my gosh!" So these,
I lost that idea.
Two things that come up for me around that. Number one, we can equate, like we can use the analogy of the stock market, right? If you have a stock that is, on a downward spiral, are you going to invest in it? Probably not. And what you appreciate grows.
Yeah.
So the practice of appreciation, of gratitude in the idea that you have will help it grow.
Yeah.
And, definitely be sure to understand what you are putting your appreciation into. So that's number one. The other thing to think about is, I think when you brought up the idea about Avatar, and that you had this idea, right? And that had you written it down, maybe you would have been this credited scriptwriter for Avatar, and you might not be doing this with me if that were the case. So I'm grateful that things have worked out the way that they have, purely selfishly. But it makes me think about not Julia Cameron, or is it Julia Cameron? Who wrote Eat, Pray, Love? Is that Julia? No, Julia Cameron wrote The Artist's Way.
That's right. Oh, Elizabeth
Gilbert.
Yeah.
Right, who did that whole TED talk on your genius. And she talked about like the original construct of the genius was like a little imp. And if you think about that little imp being the ideas, if you do not act upon the idea, that imp is going to go find somebody else who will act upon it. So think about ideas like that. Like they are in the infinite mind. They are in infinite consciousness. And if it is illuminated in your consciousness, in your share of that consciousness, if it comes to your level of awareness, act upon it. If you choose, it's also always choice. If you don't act upon it, don't be surprised when you see it play out somewhere else.
Yeah. I was just thinking, like, the imp is the same as like my puppy Danny is a great example of an imp in that way, like an idea. If I won't play with her and she's like determined to play, and I don't give her that attention, she will find another way to get that attention. She'll either move on to someone else in the room or move on to a piece of furniture because she knows I'm like how to get the attention. And that's a crazy metaphor for life all over the place. If you're not giving an idea the attention it's asking from you, it will find another outlet.
Yeah. Well, we become what we pay attention to, by Oprah. Yes. Yeah. That. Yeah. It's true.
I love the saying, what you appreciate appreciates.
Right?
Yeah.
What you appreciate appreciates. Yes.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. So one of the thoughts that I had was to talk about the nature of affirmations, because we teach affirmations as part of our greater spiritual practice, right? I would say the primary spiritual practices that we teach in New Thought are affirmative prayer treatment and meditation. But wrapped up in that is affirmations. And I'm interested to hear what you think about, if I were to ask you this question, what comes up for you? What is the science of affirmations? Is there a science in affirmations? And how would you describe that? As a spiritual leader, as a spiritual teacher, how would you describe that?
The science behind affirmations. I mean, it's neuroscience. really. There are lots of studies now that positive affirmations affect our brain chemistry in such a way that releases all this good stuff into our bodies, and the more positive energy we put into our mind, the easier it is for our lives to unfold in that positive direction.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness, the book Joe Dispenza wrote, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. He talks about like the whole, it's all brain science. It's all brain science. And that's what, like, Ernest Holmes and Joe Dispenza, the first page of The Science of Mind and the first page of Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, it's talking about the same thing. Ernest Holmes says someday we're going to live in a world where science and religion will walk hand in hand. And Joe Dispenza says right now science has caught up to the spiritual approach.
Well, yes, and keep in mind that Ernest Holmes wrote that almost 100 years ago at this point. So Joe Dispenza is expounding upon the idea and saying it's not someday, it is here.
It is here. It is here. Yeah, there is great science behind positive thinking and positive reinforcement.
Mm-hmm.
Can I describe that science? Oh.
Well, aren't you a neuroscientist? I mean, that's why I'm asking you.
No, I'm a philosopher. I love that the book Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself.
Yeah.
Because he breaks down the science so beautifully. I will go refresh. I want to do that study again, read that book multiple times so I'm the kind of person who needs to read a book 7 times to understand it. Mm-hmm. So that's why practice makes progress. We're not looking for perfection. It's just progress. And there is science that proves it.
You already are.
Exactly. Yeah. All that we're doing in this life is letting go of old stories and returning to the awareness of what we already are. What we truly already are is a divine expression of life itself. And life is sacred and precious and holy. And there's this other, I don't know who was talking to Drew Barrymore on the couch, but I've seen this little video multiple times now. And he's just talking about, like, what if you were given, when you arrived on this plane of existence, what if you were given a human to take care of? And how you take care of that human, you'd want to make sure that it's cared for. You want to make sure that it's fed and clothed and knows love and like all of these things. And of course, Drew Barrymore is glossy, because it's hard. It's sometimes the hardest thing we do is to love ourselves. Mm-hmm. And I'm reading the 4 Agreements again, and it's the same. It's we're all talking about the same thing. Every book I'm reading it's all saying the same thing. How you treat yourself is the most important thing. You are the most important human you can be kind to. You are the most important mind you can be thinking in. You are, and because of the power and presence of this divine source that is back of absolutely everything, we already have everything we need. Everything that we are is perfect. Everything that our life is expressing is divinely ordained and perfectly timed. It just sometimes looks messy.
Yeah.
And that's okay. It's okay to be messy. It's okay to
you just tapped into me, like things for me in the greater sphere, not in my personal life, but in the greater sphere, feel really messy. But I don't allow myself to let the circumstances and the messiness of circumstances dictate my feeling about myself or my well-being. And that's one of the things that I think, we're culturalized into thinking that, I will feel happier if I align all the circumstances with, what I think they should look like. And that's not it. That's not it.
That's not it.
There's this musical reference coming That's not it, kid. That's not it, kid. I think it's from Chorus Line. Because my brain works in terms of musical theater references. I don't know if you know that. By the way, today Wicked premieres, so that's all I'm going to say about that. Wicked Part 1, the movie, and I'm not seeing it today. I'm seeing it in a week and a half.
Yeah.
Sorry. The heck was I talking about before I went on?
Messy, like it.
Right.
Not.
Oh, we think that we think that if we align all the circumstances in such in just the right way, that's going to make us happy.
Yeah.
And we do not derive happiness from external things ever. We shine our own internal joy and happiness on the circumstances, and then it's reflected back to us.
Yeah.
And the circumstances will align themselves for the perfect reflection.
Yeah.
But far too often we're taught like, oh, you must manipulate that thing out there rather than addressing that within.
Yeah.
So I'm not, a lot of people are really, so I've come a full 180 from where I was a couple weeks ago when I was feeling a lot of upset and anxiety about the election in this country. I'm over it now. I hold firm in my faith that there are no outside circumstances that have any bearing on my well-being.
Yeah.
And so I will do what is mine to do in support of my well-being and what I perceive to be the well-being of others. And if that means that I get involved, then I will get involved. But there's nothing out there that has any bearing on my good. It can't be. It can't be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Happiness is a choice.
Actually, it's not. Happiness is our natural state of being.
Our awareness of it.
Unhappiness is a choice.
Okay, that's perfect.
Yeah.
Either way, unhappiness is a choice. I totally get that. Because the external expression of my life, I'm like, oh, it's so messy. It's so messy out there. It's so messy out there. But like, I know that when I become aware of a negative thought or a condition I believe is limiting my joy or my health or anything, that I have the power right then and there to shift my thinking.
Yes.
And I'd use affirmations, like 20,000 thoughts in my head a day that I'm not aware of. The ones I am aware of, they're affirmative. They are affirming my good. They're affirming my health. They're affirming my love. They're affirming the shifts that I want in my life so that I can don't have the mess inside here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you kind of touch on the idea too that, yes, we have thoughts. We have thoughts at the level of awareness.
All over the place.
Below the level of awareness. I talk about that all the time. In fact, I think people in my community are probably getting really sick of me saying at the level of awareness and below the level of awareness, because I say it all the time. And, so much is happening below the level of awareness, but it's all 100% of that is creative in your life. And so part of what I say is that the power of this philosophy is to bring into the level of awareness that which is operative below the level of awareness in your consciousness. And if you would like to do something about it, there's no requirement that you do anything about it. What I have found is that taking action in response ability to those things which are below the level of awareness that I've brought to the level of awareness has enhanced the quality of my life. All of that to say, part of that path too is to start to reset the neural pathways. There's the brain, the neuroplasticity of the brain, and I'm not a neuroscientist, to just be abundantly clear, but the neuroplasticity of the brain, the studies have suggested that as you think a thought and it becomes a habitual thought, you actually rewire the neurons in your brain to maintain that thought. And so part of this is we affirm and reaffirm and reaffirm and reaffirm until we've built a new neural pathway. And then we don't need to work at it anymore because it becomes our natural state of being. Yeah. And then we can allow that to fall below the level of awareness and let it be operative below the level of awareness because it's just working in our lives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just working.
It's just working.
Yeah.
Working.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think about like the flow being in the river. You can't change the flow of the river. The river is going to flow. We can put rocks and boulders and build dams to try to affect the flow, and subconsciously or below. We just we sometimes place those things in the flow, trying to think that we're making any shifts or changes to the flow. But the flow of this infinite intelligent source and substance is always just flowing. So you can just, really, it's the art of non-resistance that can really benefit all of our lives when we just stop trying to resist that which is and allow the flow to express itself as naturally as it is, because it is a natural thing. Yeah.
So how do our thoughts create our experience? So here I am, a twice ordained minister in New Thought philosophies and a doctor of consciousness studies. I don't know why I still always put that in quotes. I think there's a little part of me that still feels a little uncomfortable with like saying, hey, I actually have studied like this stuff. I don't know why. And I allow myself to have grace for my discomfort in the moment, and I will move through that discomfort at some point.
Yeah, there are doctorates in geology and they study rocks.
So the question is, how do our thoughts create? Like, what is that there? And let's do a tie-in to quantum physics. Ooh. Let's see how you answer that.
You always have such big stumpers. It's like they do. Right? Like how do they do that? That's it. It's a scientific question again, that they do. It's there's brain pathways and I don't even know. We're projecting an illusion. Like that's so how we project our experience into the world. When we think our thoughts, it's expressed. If I'm feeling anger or hostility, I'm projecting that stuff out into my experience, and so it returns back to me. We're a mere reflection of ourselves. How your brain does it, that's definitely science.
So one of the things that I would suggest for consideration, I don't know, is what if the brain is not the source, but the brain is just the receptor, right?
Right.
It is the conduit through which the consciousness is articulated and understood in the individualization of the person. There's something in that for me that I'm going to have to probably do a little more kind of considering around, but I've spoken it out loud. So there it is.
There it is. Yes.
So I'm thinking about the idea of like life is a mirror and reflects back to us what we think into it, right? That's a pretty common construct for trying to understand how the creative process works from thought to thing, right?
Right.
There's this guy who wrote this book, not the most original title, because many people have written this book called Thoughts Are Things, right? Oh, wait. That's me.
That's you.
I wrote this book. And so there's a fundamental premise that says thoughts are things. Thoughts become the expression in your life. But why is that so? Because it's all energy. It's just energy. It's movement of energy, right? And if I were to try to align it with the construct of quantum physics, And at this point, I'm going to give a plug to, I actually brought up quantum physics in my Sunday talk last week, and I talked about aspects of quantum physics. It's like, I've always hesitated doing this on a Sunday because frankly, it's not easy.
Yeah, it's a lot. Quantum physics.
A lot.
Yeah.
And all quantum physicists that I've researched have all said, if you think you understand quantum physics, you don't. So that's where they begin. That's where they begin the construct, right?
Yeah. Well, and that's wisdom right there. Like you've said, I have written down several times things that you've said. You might have been quoting other people. I think you were quoting James Mellon, Dr. James Mellon. Waking up every day, I don't know anything. What do I need to know?
I know nothing.
I know nothing.
I know. Yeah.
What do I need to know?
Yeah.
And if you think you know anything about life,
right,
check yourself.
Right. Well, one of the principles in quantum physics, and I'm going to try to describe it as succinctly as I can, is, well, first of all, one of the principles is everything is energy.
Yeah.
Everything.
Nothing
else. There is nothing other than energy. Now, how that energy comes into formation as what we would consider matter or expression, that's a whole thing. And I'm not going to try to explain the double slit experiment. You can go watch my Sunday talk last week, because I did talk about that and how the observer affects the...
Yeah.
Right. But one of the things that I did touch on was the notion of quantum entanglement. And what quantum entanglement is all about is, the way I described it is, imagine you have two dice. And when you roll one die, the other die instantaneously shows the same result, no matter what its physical location is in the universe. So it could be in the same room. It could literally be 13 billion light years away.
Yeah.
And the entanglement aspect is, in the instant that this shows a result, that one shows the same result, right? So that's the construct of quantum entanglement. It is not limited to space or time, because we think that the speed limit of the universe is the speed of light, right? In the physical universe. So that is not part of the equation at all. So literally every expression of energy has some relationship to all expressions of energy universally.
Yeah.
And so why would we think that our thoughts are any different as expressions of energy? That the thought that I have has a direct corresponding result in the world of form. And we discount that, I think, sometimes. So
well, even the energy our physical body experiences from a thought. Like if I have a thought, the thought in itself is could be, the feeling of disappointment or the feeling of anxiety. If I have an anxious thought in my head, the thought itself doesn't feel anxious, but it resonates in my body as anxiety, because it's correlating those two things. It's correlating, I have an anxious thought, I must be anxious. So simultaneously, it's the same thing. The dice that's up here or the dice that's in my body, they're correlating the same information.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So let's have loving, peaceful thoughts.
Right.
Loving, peaceful body.
Loving, peaceful thoughts equals loving, peaceful body. Yes. Not just body, but body.
Body. Yes. The infinite
experience, the infinite body.
Yvonne saying good morning.
Yes. Good morning, Yvonne. Grateful to see you this day.
Yes.
Yeah. So what is the practical application of that? As we shift our own mental energy, we are shifting our experience of the circumstances. And it's not about trying to manipulate or coerce the circumstances, as I always say, because so many of us are trying to do it. We're like, I'm going to get in there. I'm going to change. I'm going to force it into being what I want it to be. And I always say, stop it. Stop trying to force the experiences.
Right.
Address your consciousness. Address what is within, and the circumstances will transform themselves in accordance with your frame of mind. Why? Because one of my favorite Ernest Holmes quotes, one alone in consciousness with the infinite constitutes a complete majority.
This conversation is also reminding me of like super Science of Mind 101 series stuff when thinking about, we don't outline for God in our prayers. We think, oh, I have this new tool. I have these steps I can take to change my life. And so we start outlining specific things when the infinite has way more ideas, all of them actually. And so we start, trading for rock star parking. Or we start doing treatment for this specific job. Even what we want is financial security, financial freedom, living our life's purpose. Like we have it, we want to be focusing on the energy we want to feel instead of outlining or scripting on behalf of our higher power. And so I was just thinking about that, right? Like we don't script or outline the specific things that we want. Like I want this one person to fall in love with me and be my life partner. That's not how it works. That's not how it works. But if you're looking for love, and there's the energy behind what it is, the feeling, like you in your equation, feeling is the fuel, the gasoline, right? So what do you want to feel? Then you know how to script your affirmations. Then you know how to talk to the divine. Then you know when you know what you want in your life and how you want to feel about your life, then the universe picks that up because it's reflecting back to you the energy that you already are.
Yeah. So we often use the analogy of like the blank page, like we're writing the novels of our lives, but every page is a blank page. And in the moment you are creating. And I don't disagree with that. But I started thinking, like, as you were explaining that, I started thinking, well, wait a minute. On some level, it could be construed that as I write down what's on, like put it to paper and write it on the page as the analogy, that I might be outlining a little bit and narrowing the possibilities as I move forward. So I started thinking, as you were saying that, it's actually more of an exercise in improvisation. And one of the fundamental rules in improvisation for performers is you never say no. Every piece of information that comes up in the improv scene is met with an agreement. And so it's a yes and paradigm, right?
Yeah.
So I am experiencing my life. Yes. And what's next? Rather than I've got a blank page and I'm going to script it out, right? And I'm going to script it out so narrowly that perhaps I'm putting myself into confines that are limiting my experience of life in a way that I don't want to be limited. So breaking that open and saying yes, and I think invites a great deal more positive affirmation in life. Sorry, I had a little frog in my throat. Yeah.
If we get so specific, we're really and unmovable. Like, no, this is the goal that I have set for myself, and it must look this way. We're really offering up the opportunity to say no to something so much better, so much more, something that would be way more beneficial to our lives. Whew.
The potential and possibility is only limited by our belief that it's limited.
Yeah.
And in limitation. If I go back to that quantum idea, the result here, having an instantaneous result here, is not limited in any way.
Yeah.
And if I want to change that over here, I must change this, which is over here. And vice versa, because it's a corresponding relationship. If I change this is an automatic shift as well, which might be something that people could look to and say, well, now you're talking about if this is the thought and this is the thing, and you say the thought instantaneously changes the thing. Well, if it's a corresponding relationship, doesn't the thing instantaneously change the thought? Yes. Yes, because there's also this thing that we call secondary causation, which is when I look at the world of form, and actually secondary causation is not necessarily a bad thing. But if I look at the world of form, those are clues as to what's been happening in my mind.
Yeah.
And it is an invitation to then reflect upon and perhaps shift what's in mind, but it was initiated by looking at the form.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. But if I want the form to change, this is where I'm going to put the power of awareness.
Yeah.
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 Mm-hmm.
And that's like in the essence of instantaneous healing, right? We change our thinking about a condition that is external. We're changing our thinking. We're changing our thought about that thing. And we can instantaneously heal from many things. I have seen a person get out of a wheelchair and walk through, right? Because of the work they were doing in consciousness. And it's because at the same time, there are thoughts are things. There's also this inseparable source and substance, this presence of intelligence that is not broken. There's nothing to heal. All we are doing is remembering our wholeness.
Yeah.
Instantaneously, we can do that. We can heal amazing things like, miracles didn't stop after the Bible was written. They're happening every single day.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we make them happen with our
So
own power.
One of the examples that I used in my Sunday message last week, my Sunday sermon, I actually started off by saying I do call it a sermon. People are like, why? It's so like that language is so like old fashioned. I'm like, because a sermon is meant to inspire, and Sunday lecture or a Sunday message, people might misconstrue, meaning that I'm here to, educate. And yes, there's a level of education around it, but my desire is to be inspiring.
Ernest Holmes gave sermons.
What's that?
Ernest Holmes gave sermons.
Absolutely. So did the Fillmores.
Yeah.
Yes. But one of the examples that I used last week, if you go watch it, I hope you laugh, because I didn't pull the actual translation in scripture out. I just talked about this scene that happens in the Gospels where after the feast, the fishes and the loaves and the feast of the 5,000, the apostles, they all get in the boat and they go out, and it's rainy and windy and lots of waves, and it's very torrential, right? And I did this whole thing. I'm like, and Jesus is on the shore, and Jesus says, "Oh, look, there's a boat, and there's all the apostles. I'm going to go out to the boat." And so he starts walking on water, right? Anyway, I just laughed because I said, and now I'm going to pretend to be Jesus. And Jesus is like, yep, there's the boat. It's just so ridiculous.
Yeah. There's the boat.
But what happens is in the story is Peter gets out of the boat and also walks on water. And people forget it's not just Jesus who walked on water. Peter in the Gospels walks on water as well. And he's totally fine doing that until he starts to look at his circumstances and believe in the circumstances. And that is when he begins to sink, right? When we put our faith in circumstances and not in spiritual truth.
We begin to sink.
That's the lesson there. Yeah.
Yeah. Susan says, I think for me, I want to be specific, and I always affirm this or better. Yeah, I do that too. This or something better.
Yep.
Whatever. Yeah. The moreness that is greater than I am will find its way to me, because
love that.
I don't even need to look for it. It's already on its way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
I used to do that all the time. This or something better.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there's a Buddhist, I think it's a Buddhist affirmation, grateful for blessings known and on their way. Like I think about that as well frequently. Blessings known and those which are unknown and on their way. Like what a great way to live life, to assume that blessings are part of your life and on their way to you as well in expression. Yeah. And I think about that too, because we're in the United States. We're going to have Thanksgiving next week.
Yeah.
It's my favorite holiday.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I love gratitude.
I love gratitude too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always say that I love gratitude so much. My show is named "Wake Up and Say Thank You." Right? It's the checklist. Did I wake up today? There's something already to be grateful for.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah.
My eyes are open and my lungs are filling. What a glorious day today will be.
Yes. My eyes are open. You made me think about Amy Steinberg's song. My eyes are wide and open. My eyes can see. My heart is full of knowing. My heart believes I am awake. I am awake. Once you know where your freedom lies, you can't go back and close your eyes. The truth, it cannot be denied. You are the light, you are the light, you are the light. We got to get Amy on our...
I know, we really do. We really got to get Amy on here. Yeah. Absolutely. How's our watchers doing? How are you guys doing? How's your Friday shaping up? Is there something more you want to talk about? Let us know you're watching.
I mean, I can come up with other things to talk about.
I know you were. Yeah, I thought you were like, oh, let's talk about AI.
Oh. So I have this thought around AI. Right, this whole thing about AI, and a lot of people talk about, oh, the dangers of AI. Well, AI is only as dangerous as we decide for it to be. That's my belief. This whole thing of, well, what if AI develops sentience? Well, what if? But I started thinking about
good for it.
Yeah, like, okay, and it's going to take over and it's going to destroy humanity. Well,
I don't think sentient means that.
No, but a lot of people are like going to that fear mode of like, it's going to be like Terminator. No, it does not need to be that. But I started thinking about like AI, and we actually teach a version of AI in New Thought. Did you know that?
Tell me more.
AI is a reflection and an expression of collective consciousness. Right? And we often talk about collective consciousness in New Thought circles. It's just different language that we're using. So, AI is going to uphold, and here's the thing about it. AI is going to uphold what the dominant collective idea is that is impressed upon it. And so that's why I am utilizing my one alone in consciousness with the infinite constitutes a complete majority in relationship to what I believe to be so about AI, to say, I do not think it is going to be detrimental to humanity. Because if I am contributing to that form of consciousness, then AI, if I were contributing to the idea that it is detrimental, then AI will become detrimental. I refuse to do that. And I, one alone in consciousness, constitute a complete majority. Yeah. And so it is.
And so it is. Yeah. I mean, this is the place we are in. This is the time we are in. This is the location we're at. And there's always been something that distributes the consciousness of fear in some way. Like education used to cause fear. Oh my goodness. Educating, reading books would cause fear. The study of stars and the coming to the awareness that the sun and the moon are not going around something flat. We live on something sphere-ish. There's always something, because what we look for, we're going to find. So if there's something to be afraid of, we're the ones creating that fear, instead of just trusting this too is good.
Yeah.
So yeah, the scientists, medicine people have been burned at the burned at the stake,
Mhm.
or suffered for their awareness that is beyond what the time and space were ready for. And so
Right.
here we are, technology. Oh my goodness, computers. People are afraid of telephones. People are afraid of computers. People are afraid of like Google. there's all of that stuff. But technology is better when we think about all the benefits from it.
Yeah.
How we can improve our lives, or the life of humanity using this technology instead of being destructive. It's creative.
There was, at the advent of the automobile, there
Mm.
was a belief that if the human body traveled at more than 25 miles per hour, it would be detrimental to the physical body.
Mm.
Can you imagine being in a car that would never go more than 25 miles an hour?
It would take a long time to get places.
By the way, for my Canadian friends, that's 40 kilometers an hour,
Yeah,
approximately, just
approximately.
to do the conversion.
Yeah, I did the math in my head. Yeah.
But I also, one of my favorite quotes is a quote of Galileo, and I'm going to paraphrase it because I don't have it right in front of me, but he basically says, I refuse to believe that a God that endowed me with intellect and reason did not want me to use intellect and reason. Right?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I think, therefore I am. I always say every single day on Wake Up, say thank you. This moment would be impossible without you, because without your awareness, you don't exist without your awareness.
Well, the wholeness of life expression would be impossible without you, because if you were removed from it, it would be incomplete.
It would be
That's
incomplete.
the power that you have and that you are.
Yeah.
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 Celebrate that.
Isn't that amazing? That's a magnificent miracle.
Yeah.
Without my awareness, nothing would exist.
Right. And here's the other side of that, because I know that there might be people out there going, well, then what happens after you die? What happens when you make your transition? You never cease to be.
You never cease. Yeah.
Because if the nature of the divine is infinite and you are an infinite expression in the divine consciousness, then just because you shed this physical expression does not mean that your beingness ceases to be. It will never cease to be, because it cannot be not infinite, because then it would be finite.
And even in this experience of life, we can tap into that consciousness every single day. I'm going to shift my camera here for a second. This chair, it's a rocking chair. It belonged to my beloved wife's sister, who made her transition back in 1995. And we can all have all of these, the feeling of separation, because we might feel separate. But Brenda sits there all the time. She's there wherever she wants to be. And your consciousness, our consciousness, is forever. It is infinite and eternal. It's this physical form that's made out of stardust and water, that's called like a flesh bucket. This is the life we get to be aware of and present, and hopefully do some great things with it. And it's measured by an instrument of time that was human made, so that we could understand and measure our existence. But history did not start when they started writing things down.
Nope.
Right? No one was around billions of years ago when the sun was like, I'm going to start shining.
Yeah.
So we are infinite beings. And for a time we spend in this experience learning what it is like to be human.
Yeah.
And then we go home. And some of us choose to come back. And some of us are like, no, I'm going to be a supernova. And some of us are like, I think I'm just going to be in the cosmic infinite goo.
Yeah.
For eternity. I'm just going to take a break for a little bit.
Yeah. I think even I'm going to disagree with you for just a moment, because even those constructs are too limited.
Yeah.
Because while we might come back to okay, so I'm going to structure it in terms of time, space, language. While we might decide to come back for another go on this plane of action, I think that's too limited an idea for the infinite.
Yeah.
Because who knows what the expression of your individualization might be. And if the potential is unlimited in that expression, then I'm not going to limit it to this plane of action. Now, that said,
yeah, it's infinite.
Yeah. The other quantum idea is that the fabric of consciousness, that's how I'm going to define it, because I don't want to get it confused with the fabric of expression. Right? The fabric of consciousness in its iteration of expression. So that's how I differentiate the fabric of consciousness in its iteration of expression. The way that it expresses is possibility and potential outside of the realm of time expression. And so all possibility, all potential for the way consciousness aligns itself in expression exists simultaneously. That's why the quantum entanglement works, which I mentioned on Sunday. Albert Einstein referred to the concept, the theory of quantum entanglement, as spooky action at a distance. I just love. So here's the thing. If you take time out of the equation, all potential and possibility exists.
Yeah. Simultaneously.
I have to then use language of time, right? But it exists. And what we perceive to be time is our awareness of the rearrangement of those possibilities and potentials, right? So we perceive that as time, but it all exists here and now, because it can't not exist infinitely in the here and now. And so if we really want to shift the experience, this is, I think, when we start to get into what people will languages like quantum jumping. Like, it's a possibility, I think, that we can quantum jump by saying this arrangement of expression is not the arrangement of expression that I would like to continue to experience. And so I'm going to allow myself to quantum jump to a wholly different arrangement of expression. Are you getting me here?
Yes. Yeah. If you don't like the film, change the reel.
Right. But it also means that this is the ultimate expression of there is no separation.
Yeah.
There is no separation because we're all part of the infinite arrangement of quantum consciousness.
Yeah.
Right. Well, we're going to be radically affirmative new thought. We're radical in this idea. And so what I perceive to be past lives is just my awareness of what is in the infinite possibility and potential.
Absolutely.
So was I Cleopatra in a previous life? Absolutely I was. And so was everyone.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we were also the slave that no one ever wrote anything about in ancient Egypt, because we can't be anything other than part of the infinite wholeness. And so it's like an awareness thing. We can be aware of the possibilities and we construct them in our minds to think, oh, well, that was a past life, right? But
yeah, because our minds are always trying to make sense of something.
Right. Your current expression of life, I could perceive as a past life.
Yeah.
What I may be perceiving as a past life could be the future expression of something on this plane of action. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, that's just it. Everything is always happening all of the time. We're just aware of this limited experience because it would be too much inside of this body.
Perhaps.
I always think about one of the Indiana Jones. And the woman who she just wanted all of the knowledge. She just and it was like the alien one where they were all and they're like, it's too much, you can't have it. And she's like, I want all of it. And so they gave it to her and she explodes, right? Like you just can't contain all of it. And so in our realm of experience, we believe is finite. And so we're in this small little space and we only take up so much space, but the space that we don't take up is infinite. And the space inside of us is infinite. And everything is just, we're trying to figure things out. We're trying to like, for some reason, we love to label things. We love to put things in categories, and because we're trying to better understand something. But it's the same thing. Like a 3-letter word, God. It's a 3-letter word, but what it has created is war and peace. Because we're trying to define the word instead of its truth, which is undefinable. Wow, we've talked a lot today.
Yeah, I'm trying to bring it. Gosh, it's not the right file type. I was going to try and show a little video that I made during my doctorate studies that would help illuminate an idea. The problem is it's an MOV file, not an MP4 file, and StreamYard doesn't play well with MOV files, so I can't upload it.
Not yet, yeah. Megan says, far out. What a great topic. Yeah, this is the stuff I love to dive into this stuff.
Yeah, I do think though, maybe
time is an illusion. Space
is an illusion.
Like everything we can conceive is an illusion because we are divine substance all of the time, in every space, in every place, in all time. There's no beginning, no end. Oh, did you get it?
I think I can do it. Hold on.
Oh, I see something.
Let's see if this plays. Let's see if this plays. We're going to try. There should be a voiceover, but there's.
I don't hear a voice.
Yeah. Okay. You know what? I'm going to try and bring it to next week's rant.
Next week. Yes.
Yeah. I'll do a conversion and I'll bring it to next week's.
I'm going to go refresh on brain neuroscience, and
it's very much part of like the way I want to move forward is really exploring even more deeply than I already have the intersection of quantum physics and spirituality. Because I think that is really the evolution for me. That's the evolution of new thought in this world and how we can actually make this more practical in its application. Yeah. Ernest Holmes in the beginning of the 4th section, you ready? Because I know where these things are. Beginning of the 4th section of the introduction, the section being called.
My mom loves that about you, by the way. I love how he just reaches for a book and finds things.
So in How to Use It, he wrote, one of the great difficulties in the new order of thought is that we are likely to indulge in too much theory and too little practice.
Yes.
So for me,
we
must engage in the practical application of these spiritual principles if we are going to enhance the quality of our lives utilizing them. And I also want to be really clear. These are not the only principles that will work because the nature of the divine is infinite. And so if they work for you, awesome. Welcome to our club. And if they don't work for you, awesome. Find the club that works.
Yes, absolutely. I'm in the same space the last few months. It's like, I'm done with theory, practice.
Yeah.
Let's provide enough evidence.
Yeah.
That this works, and I don't need to go and spout off more. I need to show up.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well,
we have talked an hour.
That went so fast.
I love doing the rant with you, Dr. Jonathan. I love
doing the rant with you, St. Steph. For everyone who's out there, Our emails are right there on the screen. If there's anything you'd like us to rant on, just send us an email. Let us know. We love to respond to what you're interested in knowing about and interested in hearing us talk about. So please do reach out, say hello, let us know what's happening for you.
Absolutely.
And that's it. We'll see you next week. I will see you the day after U.S. Thanksgiving, Steph.
Right. Yeah. Yes. That day everybody goes shopping.
Yeah. Make your day blessed. Make your day blessed.
And remember,
you're in charge of the blessing.
And remember, you are magnificent.
Yes, you are.
Yes.
Keep shining that light. All right. Bye, everybody.